Today I want to do a quick little walkthrough on adding XY data to your map. XY data is data that has latitude and longitude values already stored in the table. We can add these directly to a map by telling ArcMap a few key pieces of information. We need to identify which fields are latitude and longitude, and also the coordinate system that the data was collected in. As I mentioned earlier, I like to bring in a shapefile first to help make sure I've done this correctly. So I'll bring in the states file from the USA folder. Then I'll project it to a nice conic projection for North America. Alright. I'm going to bring in a file that's available to you in the Google Drive. It's called ACES Stations, which is a file of weather stations in the US and US territories. The best way to add non-shapefile data to your map is with this Add Data button. That way, if there's something wrong with the file, you'll get a better error message. If you bring it in from Catalog and Arc isn't happy, it'll just tell you it can't do it. But if you use this toolbar button and there's something wrong, you'll get a more complete message. Sometimes it's a little cryptic, but with a little practice, most of the time you'll be able to identify the problem. This tutorial assumes your data is already in decimal degree format. If that's not the case, you'll need to clean it up in Excel first. But here you can see we have latitude and longitude values in decimal degrees and with negatives to indicate west longitude. The table's here in ArcMap, but nothing shows up yet on the map. Right-click on it and select Display XY Data. You may need to set your longitude and latitude fields. Remember that X is longitude and Y is latitude. If you've named your fields correctly, it'll figure it out on its own, but it's always good to double check. Here's the tricky part. If you have a brand new blank map and you bring in this file, it will say unknown coordinate system here in this description box. However, and this is the other reason I like to walk you through it this way, if you have any other data in here, or if you have had data in here and removed it, your data frame will take on the coordinate system of the first layer you added, even if you never set a coordinate system for your map. So this is good practice because many times you're adding points to a map already in progress, or maybe you forgot you had some data in there and removed it. See here where it says all this stuff about the projected coordinate system? It's a trick. Don't fall for it. Always manually set the coordinate system for XY data, even if this looks right. Watch what happens if I just say OK here. I get a single point in the middle of the map. Even if you haven't yet projected your map and it says GCS WGS 1984 in that box, don't trust it. You might get lucky, but it's more likely you'll be sad. So always set it yourself. So let's remove that events file and try again. So select Edit, and then browse to Geographic, and World, and WGS 1984. If this is your own computer, you can add it to favorites for faster access in the future, but if you're on a lab computer, that setting won't stay after you log off. Now look at the coordinates. The difference is subtle, but it's important. Click OK, and you'll get a little warning that just lets you know this isn't a real shapefile, so functionality is limited. Click OK on that too, and voila, the dots are spread across the United States the way they're supposed to be. One other common issue is accidentally flipping the latitude-longitude fields. Let me just quickly show you what that looks like. I'm going to deliberately switch these here. Again, if they're named correctly, Arc will figure it out, but I'm going to do this on purpose just to show you what this often looks like. So I've set my coordinate system. I think I've set my latitude-longitude correctly. I click OK, and I get a bunch of points way over here. Let me just change the color quickly so you can see. They're way over here. So these are the points that I did correctly. This is the one that I deliberately flipped the latitude and longitude. So that's a quick troubleshooting tip. Let me go ahead and take that one out too, and we'll go back to our original extent. So here we have our correctly displayed points in this fake shapefile called events. All we can really do here is change the symbol. And sometimes events files like to break and then you have to start over. To make this into a real shapefile we can query or buffer or use in another map or move to another folder, etc., we need to export it. Right-click on the file, go to Data, and select Export Data. Save it in your folder. And be sure to select Shapefile. This may default to File in Personal Geodatabase. Click OK, and when it's done, it will ask you if you want to add it to the map. Say yes, and now you can remove that temporary events file and get on with mapping. So just to quickly review, make sure you set the coordinate system when you bring in XY data, even if it looks like it's already set. WGS84 is your most probable choice, but if that doesn't work, check the metadata. 2 quick troubleshooting steps. If you have a dot in the middle of the map, you didn't set coordinates. If your points are hanging out in the ocean or something, you switch lat long. So practice a little bit with that file. You'll need it for the next lab. Happy mapping!